More to do than can ever be done. There's far too much to take in here. More to find than can ever be found. But the sun rolling high through the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place for the path unwinding in the circle of life.
Hey guys, welcome to the live. Hey Tom. I'll just wait for you guys to log on. So, super hot. Crisping. I'm going to crisp on the porch today with you guys. Hi Pekka, hi Tony. Hi Nathan, hi Sharon, hi Jenny, hi Eva. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sandra, Heather. Okay, so anywho, what have I been doing? Well, I've had little Bear, who's so cute. He'll be 10 weeks old in a few days. So he's still really small. He's still really fluffy and still totally a puppy. So he's doing well. Ruffin's doing well. And we got the chicken coop right next to us, so we'll probably hear some chickens. So just let me know if you guys can hear me, because sometimes the volume doesn't work. Let me ask the chat. Hi, Heather. Hi, Brenda. Oh, good. You guys can hear me. Yes, so the theme. Okay, so we can really do any topics. I mean, it's pretty much open topics, even when there is a theme anyways. So, but, oh, hear the rooster? Luckily, the rooster is right next to my bedroom window. Like, we had a chicken coop down the way that's really far from the house, and then but we have so many chickens, we needed to build another coop, and it's right next to my room, right outside of the house. So luckily it doesn't really wake me up, but I don't know why it's screeching. Probably gonna be screeching throughout the live. So Heather says chickens are entertainment here in Ohio. Yeah, whatever, the chickens, it's here. So yeah, the theme. So I mean, it's really open, kind of open questions. Val Nek wanted to interact, so we're gonna do the video together. I mean, really, our higher levels have come together, right, to Anyways, when I'm doing the lives, but he's here too as well. So anyways, so before, let's go ahead and get started. So Nathan says, yes, 7-7, celebrate freedom and independence of spiritual evolution all day today. Hey Tom, hi Eva. My God, the rooster is gonna distract me. Hopefully not. Hey Megan, I locked Luna out of the porch too, so she can't come because she's been she's so affectionate. I want to use the word needy, but anyways. I mean, independence is an interesting thing. So, you know, most people want freedom from darkness or freedom from the cabal, and the thing is we've perceived it to be something that's granted to us, but we live in a free will universe. So everything is a choice. I mean, you are a creator, I am a creator. And so when you are choosing your entire experience, there are no victims and there are especially no slaves, because absolutely, even if you consent to maybe someone having power and control over you, it's still an illusion. Nobody has power and control over you. So freedom, the idea of freedom and independence, and ending we're going to get our freedom back from these people, it's not something that's granted outside of you. It's something that you realize within yourself. So anyways, it's my thoughts on that. Eva says, that's so great. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Megan and Val Nek. Val Nek says, tell them I said hi. Can see him coming in. Does the Galactic Federation, hold on, Tom had a question. Does the Galactic Federation military strategy and tactics include signal intelligence and deception? Val Nek says, Megan has said this before. We have explained, but I'll tell your people again. She and I, we are moving on. We have a different message. And he's showing me the door being closed. And he's referencing our book. And he's saying there is no more disclosure. We've said it all. And he says we are moving on. And I can see him. I didn't know that I can see them. Oh, Radiant is there. And the supervisor. He's reminding me, he's saying, speak from the heart. So, yeah. So, see, this is, this is actually a struggle for me. It's been an interesting journey, and I'll explain why. They are Val Nek is listening with popcorn. He's joking. Telepathy jokes are so much more fun than how do I explain this? Because you can use pictures. It's easy. It's like sending a meme through. It's like sending a meme, and then it means multiple different things. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but telepathy jokes are better. But I'll explain why it's a struggle, right? Because the thing is there's, especially in the disclosure community, in the UFO community, everybody wants contact with aliens. And so there's a perception that when someone says I have contact with aliens, there's a perception right away that I have something that you guys don't. Okay. And this goes for any contactee or whatever you want to call yourself, people who publicly come out and say, I know the aliens or whatever, right? Automatically, everyone in the community, and you want something that they have, they want something that you have, and they perceive themselves not to have it. And it doesn't, it's a pattern that happens in every facet of society. It's what it is a power struggle is created, right? And it's energy, really what it is it's energy games, right? And there's people in the UFO community that play the game, right? And I'm a contactee, I know the aliens, and you guys don't, and so you're losers. That's not what I think, but and what happens is you have thousands of people wanting to know information from you, and it doesn't really have anything. There'll never be enough information from any contactee or anyone to satisfy what people are looking for, because people aren't looking for alien contact. They're not looking to be in contact with aliens. It's something it's a game the brain is using, or they're looking for themselves. They're looking for the love within themselves. Just like when people turn to religion, they are looking for God, but God is within you. The same thing has been created in the UFO community. When we have contact with aliens, everything will be better. It's like saying, when I marry the man, everything will be better. When I marry the woman, everything will be better. When I get the job, everything will be better. And it's not the case. Nothing outside of you will ever fill the love within your own heart. Like, you have to fill you with you. They can't do it for us. And so there's a high. See, the thing is so I got into the UFO community because, first of all, I thought being in contact with aliens was normal. Like, when everyone goes on the internet, oh yeah, I know the Pleiadians, I know this person, I know that person, and I'm just like, yeah, me too. I mean, I knew it wasn't normal, but like, I also thought that there's a group of people where it was normal in a sense, right? Only to do it and then realize that, not that it's not real for them, but I had a very different experience, right? So anyways, what I'm trying to say is there's a high probability of starting a cult or creating a following that is dependent on you for information, or basically what it is for energy. So, and I thankfully know I could never complete another person. I can only be who I am. And Val Nek knows that too. No matter how much he says what is going on with the Galactic Federation, no matter how many things here I say that actually come true or whatever, it's not the way home. It's not the way back to your heart, because he can't do it for humanity either. So that's kind of where, and that's he says, let them know the supervisor has been watching us and assisting us. This is his intention, coming back to the heart. He said, we've said it many times. He's in many Q&As. He helps Megan and I speak from the heart, speak the truth, and assist humanity. Yeah, because see, Val Nek and I don't want to, I don't know how else to say it. We don't want to create a following that is dependent on us, and only, it's there's so many headlines too, in the community, and the aliens are landing on this date, the med beds are coming on this date, and it's just kind of like a hamster wheel. It never really goes anywhere. And so I we had a heart to heart a while back and made a decision that we were going to change the way that we did things, and the supervisor, or Korhan, has helped us do that as well, because it's I mean, he and I um he says, we have written 2 books, we have said enough, it is enough, we have moved on. And he is smiling, he is saying it from the heart, because I mean, it's quite a lot of information. Like, if you read both of our books, how it's we've already done it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't there's nothing more to say in terms of like the military and the technology and all of that. And for me to be for me as a person, it's kind of boring. Like, because it's not, I've experienced it, right? So there's no luster or like Hollywood feel for me to it, because it's not something that's outside of me. It's not a fantasy. Like, I've lived it, right? And so the wisdom that I've gained from that is part of my beingness, and I can bring that to you guys without, and I don't have to keep uh talking about the info over and over and over again, if that makes sense. Um uh he says, we are moving on in a much more exciting way. Your people will find their way back to themselves. He is showing me specifically, he's showing me the whole world, but he's showing me well, this is a reference point for me because I live in the United States. So he's showing me the United States, and he's showing me the light, and there's different parts of the country, and the light is everywhere. And then he's showing me it comes through the light grid up into a different density, and even further than that, and even further than that. And he's saying the light is everywhere. Always remember, it's within you and it's within me. There is no power outside of you. And he's saying everyone is connected. He's saying he's making a joke because people perceive him to be the commander, right? The strong commander. In a way, he's making me laugh because they know that it's, in a sense, see, humans see the body, and they see the body, and they see the title, or they see the role. So most people perceive him as this sexy, strong commander, which he is, but he's making a joke that everybody has someone like him, but not the outside shell. It's from love, that everybody is loved. So I've never had anything that somebody else doesn't have. Does that make sense? Megan says, I love our new pathway. We always go on enlightening journeys together. Yeah, so like what happens is my following will grow with me, and then, you know, and some people will leave and new people will come, and that's just how it goes. I mean, if you're a spiritual teacher, you're always evolving, right? Tom says, living upon a basis of unsatisfied demands, we are in a state of continuous frustration and anxiety. Yeah, it's just basically the way that we've been programmed. It's nobody's fault. I don't want to use the word it's human nature, because really it's not our true nature to seek power outside of ourselves. It's just the way that our society and the way that the brains have been programmed for thousands of years. So anyways, so I can see them, they want to connect from the heart, and they want to know who we truly are, and they want to be how do I say this in human words? Let me get a drink. they accept us for who we are. And they want the same, the aliens, if you want to use that word, or other beings want the same. They are asked, not that they want it from us, but they are encouraging us to look within ourselves so that we can give them the same freedom. Does that make sense? So when you truly love someone, you don't have any expectations of who they should be, how they should act, blah, blah, blah. And so they accept humans for who we are, and they are inviting us to do the same from them. Because when we do, we are not setting them free because they can set themselves free. They don't need us to do that. But what we're doing is we're setting ourselves free from the expectations that we've placed on them. Do you know what I mean? So it's we expect them to be, I mean, what do we expect the aliens to be for us? What do we expect the spirit guides, God, the angels to be for us? And for a long time we've placed them in a box. It's really what it is it's a savior complex. It's something that's not real, and it's gone on way, like, literally millions of years. And this is why, I mean, it's so fascinating. You know, in the UFO community too, we perceive, or there's legends of gods, and even ancient Egypt worshiping the gods, and maybe those gods were extraterrestrials, but were they truly gods? And why were they doing the stuff that they were doing in ancient Egypt to appease or worship the gods? It's not really, I don't know why I'm talking about ancient Egypt, but I will. um, it's uh, when I tune into it, right? It's a lot of ancient Egypt is a lot of ritual sacrifice, and it's a very where they believed that the pharaoh or the king was chosen by God or by the gods, and all of the people had to worship him, right? Why? Because God, this God, or that maybe it was extraterrestrials came down from the sky and appointed the Pharaoh, said so, right? And it's still, the power is outside of you. It's still, that's a cult, a cult like religious indoctrination. So we're all evolving out of it. It's been going on that long, and even before that. Let's see. Eva says hi. Heather says, I love moving forward. It seems like I have went through so many awakenings. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You don't have to go through a physical death. You can you can just let your ego die. I mean, some people, the way that they transcend stuff is they leave the body and the body dies, right? But the thing about a spiritual awakening is you can stay in the same body and just let the ego die, and then you have a different perspective. Eva says the same structure of lack, right? So, oh, there's Gussie. We have Gus in the field. June is spectacular. The new mini horse that we got. She's so cute. She's so well behaved. She's so sweet. Jim says, I'm totally satisfied with the connection I feel after reading the book you two wrote. It seems so real and natural now. The message from Radian was especially heartwarming. I appreciate you all. Oh, thanks, Jim. Yes. There will be more books and other stuff. So Brenda has a question. How can we bring more of ourselves in this realm with the depth here? How can we transcend the density? And as we move into higher density, what advice do you have? See, there is no, I'm tuning into it. it's Well, it's interesting because you have, so 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, whatever, said this before. It doesn't really matter where the physical body is, right? It's about bringing all of your light into the body. And so the way that we do that, or the way that I do that, is it's the ego. So whenever the ego's triggered, I say, okay. And it's hard to do this at first, okay? Because all of the energy has been put into the brain. So drop your consciousness into your heart and call the light in. And it might take time to open up, okay? But it's it's worth trying. Okay, so some people feel like awakening is such a big task. I'm just going to, it's too hard or whatever. It's hard for the ego, but it's not hard for you. And it's not about going into a different realm or going into a different density, because if you're not whole and complete within yourself, it doesn't matter where. If you're on a spaceship, there'll still be a perception of lack. And I think I said this in the last live. So let's say the aliens came down or the spaceships came, right? And they were like, okay, come on our ship and we're going to take you to space, right? And whatever that means, or a different planet, okay? They can't change your perspective for you because you're a divine creator. So the perspective or the perception you've created for yourself is yours and yours to change. So you would still bring the perception of lack of wherever you are not, aka the darkness, with you to the next realm, the next planet, to the spaceship. And so yes, so everything that there's not really you don't have to go looking for those aspects of yourself. Whatever energy you're sitting in with yourself today, right here, right now, is your tool to grow. So what bothers you? I catch myself, my ego, going off on tangents a lot, actually. What did I get mad? I was thinking, what's a good example of one? Anyways, just like random little stuff at the barn. And like me and my friend yesterday were like working so hard and it wasn't even 90 degrees. It was 100 degrees. And me and my friend, and there was lots of changes and there was lots of meds to give. And I don't know, I was tired and I was triggered, and I imagine everyone having a great time laying on the couch and I'm here, whatever. So it's just little stuff like that. That's not you, that's the ego coming in and trying to tell you a storyline. So ask it questions. Why does it feel that way? The thing is it's all in the subconscious. Most of what people are doing, why are we doing what we're doing? Because most of all of this stuff is people's actions, their words, is coming from the subconscious. And so people aren't conscious of why they're doing what they're doing, and so therefore you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And so hold on, if you can feel Val Nek saying something. Val Nek says, I have a picture I can show them. Megan will describe. He's showing me the brain, okay? And then you have the body around it, and then you have the light coming into or is in the body, right? And then he's showing me the brain. And in the back of the mind, in the back of the brain, it's the subconscious, or it's basically darkness. Oh, he's showing it to me as darkness, okay? And most people are they're using the conscious part of the brain, right? So there's that saying where we only use like 10% of our brain or something. And he's thinking what to say. He's saying Megan is correct. Humans do not use all of their power. They only use small parts of their brain. The rest is old memories, old frustrations they've gathered from lifetime to lifetime. It is energy. It follows them. It stays in their brain until it's ready to come out. So, and he's showing me fear, and the more people go into fear, the more they suppress all of that stuff in the subconscious. And then he's saying it is called survival mode. This is what's happened to the people on your planet. They live unconsciously. It is a programming. Your governments, your military, your people, they keep you in a state of panic. Do not consent to fear. He's saying fear keeps you away from yourself. Yeah, so essentially people are in survival mode trying to it's the mainstream media, the elections, all of that. I mean, have you guys noticed I haven't mentioned politics at all? Because the reason is it's because it's so emotionally charged. It's so polarized too. And let's just play a game. So Heather asked a question too. Hold on. Heather, or no, not Heather. Tony had a good question. Let's see. So she said, who's okay, so we have a political question. Who's your guess on who Trump will pick for VP when he announces on the 18th? Please thinking. In a way, what does it matter? Do you know what I mean? So there's a perception and it's not that there's no truth to it. It's not that there's no truth to the truthers or the truther community. I mean, I've written about it, right? So, but the thing is we've, from my perspective, gotten carried away with it, where now it's become a thing. When Trump becomes elected, all of our problems are going to go away. And that's still the same energy. It's still money, power, greed, savior complex. I mean, he's just one guy. You know what I mean? I mean, he's working with other people, but still, how is, I mean, that would be great. Like, we have less taxes. I'm for it. You know, sign me up. I'm there, you know? Okay, cool. That's fine with me. But I'm not going to discover who I am. I'm not going to bring my energy in from a different realm. I'm not going to fill my heart and become whole and complete within myself if he becomes the president, right? It only has so much effect. It can't save you, is what I'm trying to say. So, Val Nek says, I have an answer. He says, it is the same answer I've given for a very long time in many Q&As. Your people get tired of hearing it. I understand. Look within yourself. There is a plan I have mentioned several times before, but this is not our message. Our message is to become complete within yourself, strong within your own being. Then nothing can hurt you, nothing can touch you. And he's showing me humanity, and he's showing me it's kind of a veil of illusion or a veil of darkness in a sense. And he's saying you are your own worst enemy. What you are afraid of, it's what you perceive to lack within yourself. Face your fear. And so when you face your fear, it's basically you are afraid of yourselves. You do not like to hear it. This is what your people have become. You do not want to look in the mirror. I understand. So, yeah, and so he's also saying, if we come to Earth, you would attack us. We know this. We have no interest in enslaving your people. If we come to Earth, this is what would happen. He's trying to find the right words. You would make us your leader. You would elect us. And he's showing, oh my God. He's showing me churches, and he's showing, oh, stop. I can't do this. He's showing me churches that say Galactic Federation on it, and he's showing me people on crosses, and he's showing the Federation member as saints. He says, I like to make Megan laugh. This is the truth. Look within yourselves. Then we can meet in the physical. We are always friends. That's sweet. It's true though. And honestly, when I look at the UFO community, it's kind of this is what it is though. It's aliens and UFOs are a religion, and there's a lot of indoctrination. So anyways, we didn't answer who would be well, he kind of did, who would be Trump's VP pick. To me, how I feel about that stuff is I've just completely see, when I look at, like, I go on Twitter or X or whatever the heck you want to call it. So there's Republicans, right? And then there's Democrats. And it's not that the Republicans are saying stuff that is untrue. And it's not that the Democrats are saying stuff that is totally untrue. In some cases, yes, but it's true on both sides. I see Republican, patriot influencers claiming stuff that they believe is true, which is fine. Everyone does it. And then the Democrats do the exact same thing or whatever. And it's a projection of your own consciousness when you have to constantly point the finger at somebody else. There's something in the subconscious that is not sitting well with someone. They have to make someone else look like an asshole. I mean, if someone wants to be an asshole, just let them. You know, I mean, have fun with it. You know what I mean? If you know, just whatever, you know. But no, in all seriousness, it's something within the subconscious, and it will not, no matter who you elect, it will not change unless you look inward. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are people going on the internet every day posting about politics? Why? It's because they believe the power is outside of them. It's deeply rooted. Heather says, I'm going to be around several douchebags this week at work. It's going to be hard to project love to any of them. Well, so you already love them. So that's the truth. You don't have to project love at anyone. You don't have to do anything that's coming from the mind. Love is a state of being. So you already love them, you know. The thing is, when there's a power struggle, right? So in work, you have the workers, you might have an assistant manager, you have a manager, and then the manager has a boss, right? And the thing is it's not that structure doesn't work or it's not beneficial. It's just that a lot of times it's a power struggle and it comes from the ego. But the thing is, the people that are on top are the loneliest, and they're the ones that are further from themselves. I mean, the people that like to be at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, okay? Because they have, imagine how it feels when you have to please one person, or you feel like you have to please one person. Maybe it's your spouse, your child, whoever, to get them to love you or to get them to like you or to keep the peace, right? And then add that times a million, and this is how the celebrities feel, the pharaohs, the kings, the queens. And what happens when you have that much power is people or that much attention is because it's really not power, because that power can be taken away from you in a second. And historically, what happens is the kings, the queens, they're usually murdered by members of their own family because they want to be, their family members want to be on top, or they're murdered by other people in the kingdom, or they can't, they have to play a role that is completely not themselves just to keep the peace. And it's times that by millions, right? Versus just, you know, there might be one or two people at work, you feel like you have to do this or do that to get them to like you or to please them. But imagine that times a million. So the slave masters are still slaves at big time. Okay, so that's why there's no winning in that game. Lori says, if someone wants to be an a-hole, just let them. That's honestly always like, that should be my next book title. That's my my famous spiritual quote. I mean, honestly, it works though, because then you're not giving it energy, so then there's nothing to play with. It's like when someone tries, you don't have to fight people, because when someone tries to argue with you, I've done this with Val Nek a lot, not so much recently, but I would pick fights and he would never argue with me. It's just like I was arguing with myself. And then I just felt, I just was like, and then I was just like, oh, like I just completely saw what I was doing. So he just gave it no energy and met me with love. And then it just took the energy out of everything. And so then I just started to do that with people. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to try this. And it works because it takes two to argue, right? It takes two to fight. That's why politics, the way it's structured, it's not that having a leader isn't beneficial when it's from the heart and you're connecting to the people, what humanity wants to create together, what is in the best and highest good for all of humanity, right? It's not that that's not beneficial, but the way that it's structured right now is it's half of the people pinned against the other half of the people, and then it's just an energy game back and forth. And it takes, if one side just said no, stood in their integrity and said, you don't have any power over me, and really not believed it, because belief comes from the mind, but knew it, the whole thing would fall apart, right? So Tom says, you mean Val Nek will come down and save us all? Yeah, sure. Nikki says, what if you have been contacted and don't want to be because I feel that it's not from love? Yeah, so that's a good question. Let me get a drink. Alex says, I'm still listening. Val Nek, how do you feel? I'll ask him this. How do you feel about specifically American politics and what's going on? He says, our intention is different. It will take many years for your people to awaken to themselves. These are baby steps. There are stepping stones. Not everyone moves quickly like Megan. He was trying to find the right words. She moves on quickly from things that do not serve her. I help her. Humanity is doing the same. Some go slower, some go faster. It will take many years. There will be a time, I have said before, things will be different, things will change. Your people have to change first. You are the catalyst to change. We are assisting you, but we cannot do it for you. This is my message. Yeah, so like, and when I tune into him and when I tune into it, this is very, see, people believe that 2024 is the end all be all of everything. And then after this, everything will be amazing, great, everyone's going to be awakened, blah, blah, blah. This is actually, when I tune into it, it's a stepping stone, and there's many more events that will happen. There's many more challenges and triumphs triumphs. That's a funny word. That humanity will go through. Okay, and this is this is a very, it's not a small event, but in the grand scheme of things, it actually is a very small event, and there's much more to come. So stepping stones for humanity. Let me just take another question from, there's a few questions on the homepage. Sharon says energy, frequency, vibration. Happy 4th. Love all the Telegram stuff. Bear is adorable. And she's saying she'll be out of town. So energy, frequency, vibration. I mean, when you talk about energy has a frequency, energy has a vibration, and so it's kind of like a quantum thing, right? It's all happening at once. Lori says, I'm sensing more people are becoming more skeptical about traditional medical system and exploring being open to trying alternative or traditional remedies. Do you guys see this as well? Val's going to let me answer first. How I feel about it is, see, from a very high level, how do I explain this? Well, there's a reason for everything. So everything that the body is going through, there's a reason for it. Of course, a medical, scientific reasoning, but also it's part of the consciousness you've created, and then the body reflects such. So a lot of people who get cancer, it's because they've taken on energies that are not them, and it's a psychological thing, and then it's manifested in the physical, and then you have cancer. And you can say that, I mean, so how many people have taken on consciousness and energy that is not them? You know, everybody at one point or the other, and it doesn't ever manifest as cancer, right? But some people really bring it in, really bring it here, and they create the experience so that they can become aware of it and transcend it. So that's the way that I really view things. It's not, this might sound weird, but so I work in the medical field, right? And I've actually worked in offices where it's homeopathic too, as well. And it's all still a perception based in lack. And the thing is, and for me, there are a lot online. It's a huge business, non-traditional therapies. So there's still a dollar amount. There's still people are making a lot of money by recommending supplements and vitamins. And I'm not saying that everybody's, coming from it from a wrong or a perspective of trying to make money. But what I am saying is, it's still, when I tune into it, it's still the energy of kind of big pharma is trying to convince people that their bodies are lacking nutrients, or their bodies need to detox, or their bodies don't really know what they're doing. So then we have to buy all of these supplements, all of these therapies, and it's still the brain trying to control the body. And it's the ego trying to control the body. And the body was made perfectly, okay? Every body is made perfectly. The body knows exactly what it's doing. It's doing a million different things at once without thinking about it, okay? Because that's just how we created it, okay? So a lot of the non-traditional things, when I tune into it, it's the same energy as big pharma. It's just kind of like the love and light version of big pharma, because we're not using those labels, and it might not be making as much money, but it's still a perception based in lack. Does that make sense? And so really, its health comes from, well, if you're whole and complete within yourself, there is no space for disease to manifest, right? So in a way, we don't really need to wait for med beds. Do you know what I mean? And what I'm, even when I speak those words, Val Nek is ready to speak. I just lost my train of thought because he was making a joke. Even when I say that, okay, yes, there will be a change in the medical system. Yes, there will be med beds. But for me, I've chosen to evolve even beyond that, because if I'm having a continuous health issue, there's something within my beingness or something. It's something that I've chosen to transcend, and I want to know exactly what it is. So there's people from Val Nek wants to say something, so I'll let him. He's showing me past, present, future. And he's showing me even in ancient times on planet Earth, and even on other planets like cavemen times, and even people who live in tribes, like indigenous tribes, they all have their health beliefs, right? And then it's evolved into the medical system. And then there's places in other planets where it's slightly, well, it's more and then it's even the technology, I'll use that word, the technology has evolved even more than that, right? He says this is outside of you. It is not necessary unless you choose to need it. And he's underlining it. um uh he's explaining, or he is trying to find the right words, but what he wants to say is everything is a choice. So he's saying disease is a choice. This is the truth. You can transcend it, you can move on. You do not need technology. He's even he's saying this is outside of you. Megan is correct. um Isn't it nice to have some being that just tells you you're right all the time? I'm just kidding, but but he's even bringing um space travel into it. He's bringing traveling by cars. He's bringing in even on horseback, okay? He's saying the physical body, the physical density, it is outside of you. You can travel between space and time. You are the energy of the universe. You are this frequency. So in essence, he's saying that we're not the body, we're not the physicality. So we don't even need technology to travel. Technically, your consciousness can travel anywhere at any time. Does that make sense? So it's all of these medical treatments, it's not that they aren't beneficial, because see, the thing is, he's saying, I will repeat again, Megan has transcended many things very quickly. Her perspective is very different. I will explain. These are stepping stones. Your people, it is a choice. They can come this far if they choose. They do not have to. He's showing me I'm tuning into the future, or where humanity is headed, okay? And people will still these medical treatments will still be necessary for your people. It is still beneficial. They will still exist. Good things are coming, and he's winking. But you do not need them. It is still your choice. So yeah, so there's people that will still have health issues, that will still, there'll be the med beds, whatever, that can benefit things, right? But the power is within you. That's the long and short of it. If you are whole and complete within yourself, there is no space for disease. Yeah, that's a better quote. Val Nek says, "You are the energy of the universe." That's a better quote than, "If someone's an asshole, let them be. Let them be one." um. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Um. He says, "I love the questions. I'm enjoying this." See, he is they're distracting me a little bit. It wasn't as enjoyable for him to give quote unquote military information or stuff going on with his job, because then he has to play a role, right? And then it's more limiting to him. It's not that he can't be who he is, but there's a wall up because of his job position. Does that make sense? Heather says, "I do feel sorry for the bosses at work. One guy even had a heart attack in the big boss's office floor, then was made to look like a hero because of an AED. AEDs, they save lives, Um, well, so let's take the energy out of it, Heather, because there is an element here where there is a male female thing, and this is a big thing within our society, is the struggle between man and woman. And there's all this stuff, women are going to go back to a more traditional role, and they are just going to be happy serving their husbands and having children and being in the kitchen, and that's the traditional roles that women are supposed to do, and the man brings home the bacon or whatever. And keywords versus, other people have different ways of living, and the key word here is roles. So it's not that a woman can't feel, how do I say it? Fulfilled, or feel like it's in her best and highest good to stay home and raise children, right? But when you stop, there's millions of women who are like, this is wonderful, right? It's really a beautiful thing and a beautiful experience. But when you have society coming in and saying that's what women should do, that's what you have to do, that's the role you have to play, then it becomes part of the mind, and it becomes, can you feel how the energy just shifted to a vibration of control? And that's a role, and playing a role. And then when you're playing a role, it's yeah, it's about fitting in, and all of that. So I don't know why I went there. And for men, it's the same. So it's a lot of role playing and the struggle between man versus woman. And a lot of it has to do with sex and stuff that's been built up with our within our society. So these men in your office, Heather, if someone needed to be, let's get to the truth of it, right? So if somebody had a heart attack on the office floor, and one of the other men gets an AED and puts it on and shocks him, that is a heroic move. That does take courage. It does take thinking quick on the spot. And he did a wonderful job in assisting that person, because that person was not ready to leave the planet yet, right? They were having an issue, and he was there to assist them. He knew where the AED was and didn't let the nervous system take over, and still had the wherewithal to go and do what needed to be done, right? So that was actually a heroic move, right? But but and then there's your perception of it, right? Which is that he or these bosses are more powerful than you, they have power and control over you, and in a sense they do, because you've bought into it, right? And can you feel as I'm speaking, because I know that you're listening and I can feel you too, there's stuff coming up, right? So there's old ego projections coming up within your subconscious of how you formed this perspective, right? So it has to do with you, actually, and not feeling like you get the credit for being the person that you are, not getting the credit for doing your own good deeds. And if you're coming from the heart, does it matter if anyone notices? If you're coming from the heart, you know you're assisting others, does it matter if anyone else acknowledges you? Or acknowledges it or sees it, right? Because really what that is it's attention, or we're looking for, we want the love, we're doing it because we want, is it coming from the heart, or part of it coming in this, the ego coming in wanting attention, which it thinks is love? Because when we want credit, we want people to notice, it's because the brain thinks that it's love, but it's actually it's actually just attention. So um Nathan says, what does the name oh, I think Val Nek has something to say. He says, they are just physical bodies, they are not who you are. I'm not male, Megan is not female. We have chosen these bodies for a reason, but they do not define us. It is not your identity. You are not female either. He's trying to explain, because he heard Sharon's question of energy, frequency, and vibration. He's saying there is no polarity to you. You have a frequency, you have vibration, you are energy. It is your own unique song. He's finding the words. But it is not male, it is not female. And he's saying, I don't want to embarrass Megan, I'm trying to find the right word. What he wants to say is, he's showing me the bodies, and what's he's saying, I tell the truth. Gender is defined by physical genitalia, that is all. And so that is basically the truth, right? Because when you shed the body is the female, the body has the genitalia. Same thing with the male body, right? And so and when that's gone, there's no male or female. He says, there is a lot of confusion with your people. They hang on to their bodies. It gets stuck in their mind. They try to be something they are not. He's showing me, he's talking about transgender people. I am trying to be delicate. He's trying to find the right word. They are not either. There is some truth to what they say. They are not a gender, but their body is. This is where they get confused. Yes. So, I mean, with transgender, I'll just say it in my words, they're not, in non-binary people, they're not wrong in a sense, because they don't have a gender, but the body does. So and by hanging on to the body and trying to make themselves the opposite gender or no gender at all, they're defining themselves by gender or not having a gender. So they're still limiting themselves. They're still attaching them they still believe that they're the body, and so and then they're still attached to it, if that makes sense. Megan says, does Val Nek and his people have to learn to come from the heart like us, or are they already in that place in their journey and awakening is different? Let me get a drink. He's saying we do not learn, we remember. It is not like your people, it is not like your planet. My people are different. I have watched Megan. It is more intense for your people. It was more intense for her. It is not like this in the place that I live. It is less painful, but this makes it harder. He's asking me to tune into him because it's harder for him to put into words. But basically it's see, for him, he's watched me. It's so was excuse me, was so intense or feeling very dense or like in a way disconnected from myself. It was easier to wake up because for me, there was something deep inside of me saying, this is not me, you know? And so this is so painful. This is not me. I'm going to transcend it and move on. And for them, it's not as dense where they are, so they don't totally notice, or it's not as obvious because stuff doesn't bother them or doesn't feel as dense and intense. But it's still in 5D, it's still dense enough that you can still have many experiences that, see, it's all more dense, less dense. It's all a matter of perspective, right? But it's still you can still have very intense experiences. The other, and that assists you in awakening. The other thing is too, here things happen more slowly, and some of this is from my perspective because anyways, this is how I perceive it. But things happen more slowly, so it's easier to see because it's slowed down. It's easier to see, like, yes, you sit in your own filth for a while. But it's slower, so you get to see things and events happening in your life, whereas in 5D or above, it's a bit quicker, so it's not things happen more quickly, so it's not like you're sitting there all the time, and it's just, I think it's easier to wake up here, to be honest with you. But he's saying we do not have the programming in our minds. There is a benefit to this, there is a downside. I will go on my own adventure, maybe to Earth, maybe not, when I am ready to find myself even deeper. See, there's other, he's saying there are different hold on. There are different places in the universe, like Earth. Earth is not the only place. There are other planets like yours, where I can go. Other beings can go. It's so, yeah, so they will incarnate into a very physical, dense reality too, as well. It's not like Val Nek has never been to a very dense reality before. It's just he wants to go back again to find himself even deeper. So, and because it's easier to wake up, and this is just really where you do it because there's it's heavier and it's more dense. Okay, one more question and then I'm sweating, so I'm gonna get off, but we'll be back. Lauren says, hi Megan and Val Nek, is there anything to Deja-Vu? Is that our souls remembering something? He says it has to do with timelines crossing over. I'm trying to understand what he's saying, because I don't know if I can find the words for it. in a way, you're in two places at once. Not the physical body, okay, but your consciousness is in two places at once, if that makes sense. I mean, we're all omnipresent, but it's, how do I say this? He's saying there is no past, there is no future, there is only the present. I know, but how can I answer the question? Okay, let me get a drink. Let me clear my head for a second. It's hard to explain. It's like I'll say it this way. So there's subconscious parts of yourself that are still living out an experience that you have yet to transcend. It's not that your physical body is still there, because by all means you've died and you've reincarnated here, okay? But that piece of your consciousness is still there existing and has that perspective until you take a look at it and transcend the perspective. So it's not that there's a physical body that's dying, or that you're, or that's still alive in a different place. It's just deja vu. It's when you transcend a part of yourself and then it brings it back into a whole. So in a way, the timelines merge, because there's part of you from the past, or a perspective from the past, that comes into the present, and then they come together, if that makes sense. It's hard to put it into words, like spirituality and stuff. Like it's a knowing, and so it's hard to describe things in a way that everyone would understand. Val Nek says, I want to try something new, and he says, I do not want to salute, and he puts his hand over his heart, and he says, the light in me recognizes the light in you, and he says, I love you. And I can see him and his friends waving. So anyways, okay, so I had so much fun, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and love you guys. Bye-bye.